My name is Stinfil, and I'll be teaching the measurement of distance on the map. The foreign disclosure, FD1, Foxtrot Delta 1. This training product has been reviewed by the training developers in coordination with the G2, Fort Benning, Georgia, zip code 31905, foreign disclosure officer. This training product can be used to instruct international military students from all approved countries without restrictions. Conditions. You are a member of a team or squad in a field environment, and you have been directed to determine the distance between two known points. You have 1 by 50,000 map, scale map, a strip paper with a straight edge and a pencil. You have been shown the beginning of the endpoints on the map. Some iterations of this task shall be performed in Mach 4 gear. Standards. Determine the straight line distance between 2 points with no more than 5% error, and the road curve line distance between 2 points and with no more than 10% error. The risk assessment of this is hazards, small insects, debris, and wildlife. It is the duty and responsibility of all soldiers and DoD civilians to protect and preserve the environment. The first block of instructions is to identify the graph bar scale of the map. Since most maps, scales and map bars on the bottom, we identify that this scale of the map is 1 by 50,000. And the contour interval is about 10 meters. Now by us knowing this is a 1 by 50,000 map, we have to make sure that we have a piece of paper to identify certain things that's on the map to measure up each distance. So today, we'll be doing the distance between from one point of the South Range complex, which is which is 93 by 80, to the others, to more of a southeast side, which is located at 94 78.5. So by seeing this, we have, as soon as we determine the straight line, we have to lay a straightest piece of paper, like so, and just add 2 ticks. 1 tick, 2 tick. As soon as we put these 2 ticks on it, on the paper, we have to make sure that it's aligned to that's aligned with the graph. Since we see that, since as soon as we identify this, we go to I should say the smallest between the scales, because it has about 1 to 5 kilometers to 1 to 3 statute miles and 1 by 3 nautical miles. We're gonna do kilometers. So as we do this, we're gonna take the paper that we took the tip marks off of. We're gonna add it. We're gonna adjust it to where the scale is at. Since starts with 1, that's 2. That's 2. We identify between 93 and 80, the grip point 93.80 to 94. To 78.5 by adjusting the piece of paper to where the scale is at, to the smallest. We identify that between those 2 grip coordinates, that it is approximately 1 click away, 1 kilometer away. So, here comes the hard part. Not hard, but difficult. We have to also identify how to measure a curve line. A great example of doing this is making sure that we add each, after we identify one line, we have to add on to the other contour lines around it. So while we self-identify which is a straight line, and when it makes a little curve, we have to make each little tick mark on the piece of paper to make sure that we measure up, or at least count up how far is each curve. So a great example of this is that we're going to do the main road, which is between the borderline of Georgia and Alabama. We're going to do from $90 $79 $94 9079 to to 9584. This line in particular is a curved line coming from the boneyard, which is in Stinfil, to north of the South Range complex. So remember, you have to identify in between, knowing this is a curved line, we have to make sure that we get as much straight points as we could, so we could add up all the straight points and then add up all the points that's in between. So I will put the first tick. And identified my first straight line, which takes me northwest of the South Range complex. So with me identifying this, approximate distance between that is 2.5, is about 2/3 of a click. So we have to remember that we have to write that down. If we don't write that down, it's very impertinent to what the whole distance is of the whole curved line. That was the first. Now we're doing the curved line. We have to identify the contour lines of this and see how it's indifferent. So we have to use angles, which is approximately at least straight or acute. And that's only a click away. So you have to, and at the end of this, we have to know that we're going to add up all this just to find out the whole distance. Now the second line. Which is still northwest of the South Range complex. Which is approximately 0.75, which is 3/4 of a click away on the second on the second curve. Now we're going to do the last curve. There's another curve in the road. So we still have to identify that it's still a curve, and we have to identify where we came from the third point, which is a which is actually 500 meters away. And the last curve is approximately 500. It's approximately 500. It's approximately 500 meters away. No, actually, it's 600 meters away, as you would. So as soon as we find and identify all these curves in this one line, we need to make sure that we add up all the contour lines and the curves to identify how far is that curve line from point A to point B. To sum it all up, I've got 5.5 kilometers away from point A to point B at the grid coordinates 90, 79 to 95, 84. As soon as we identify this, we have to make sure that we have all the grid coordinates that we need. Now, to show an example, I'm going to get a road. The road I get is the grid coordinates . It is It is 88 by 15. By 92 . 12.5. So this is more or less a straight line. To make sure that we get the accurate numbers on this, we have to make sure that we identify the tick marks from point A to point B, and we relate those tick marks to the scale. So since it's just a relatively straight line, only 2 ticks are made. That is my point A and my point B. And by seeing this is approximately 4.5 kilometers away by recognizing the scale and recognizing the tick marks. AR. Any sustains, any improvements, and any differences that we could do in this lesson. Now this concludes this lesson. My name is Sergeant Stinfil, and this was measuring distance on the map using the paperwork and using tip marks.